That spark of innovation, it's just waiting for the perfect combination of tools and talent to bring it to life. Welcome to Pitch, Build, Scale. I'm your host, Chris Fanchi, a recovering startup founder, veteran SaaS marketer, turned dev tech enthusiast and growth specialist. Each episode, we connect with the builders, the visionaries, and the problem solvers who are redefining what's possible with today's technology and pioneering the websites, apps, and software products of tomorrow. These are the conversations that transform how we build, how we sell, and how we scale technology businesses in a world where the tech evolves by the minute. Ready to stay ahead of the curve? This is Pitch, Build, Scale. Hello and welcome to Pitch, Build, Scale. Today we have an incredible guest joining us, Mike Thompson, CEO of SVI and Learner Mobile. Mike has a fascinating journey from advertising to talent development. His company, Learner Mobile, is revolutionizing how enterprise training is delivered through mobile-first microlearning solutions. Today, we'll discuss how mobile technology and AI-driven learning are transforming enterprise education and workforce development. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris. Great to be here.
So first things first, I like to let the guest kind of talk a little bit about their journey. What got you into technology? What got you started on building SVI and then Learner Mobile?
Yeah, that's a big question, and I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. But I come from the advertising industry. I had an ad agency that really loved that work, loved the creative process, loved just the study of behavior, especially consumer behavior. And but while I was in the agency business, my wife and I lost our first child to leukemia. And when you go through something like that, you realize that life is short and we have no control, and it's so precious, and it's a gift and it's a blessing. And so we I did something not very smart at the time, but that experience ignited in me a deep desire to get into people development. And the reason was because I just, in my work with clients, I just saw a lot of people dreading going to work and really hanging on until the day that they could retire to start living. And I thought, my gosh, we don't even know if we have tomorrow. So there was great perspective that came out of losing our son. I wouldn't trade it for sure. I'd rather have my son than the perspective, but the perspective was good. And so I sold that ad agency, and I just jumped both feet into the talent space and said, you know what, that's what I want to do. I want to come alongside people, and I want to help them come alive in their life, in their career. And so I started this company, SVI, and that was 20 years ago. And it's been it was a brutal learning curve at the beginning, but eventually found our way. And so our company today just supports the success, the significance, the engagement, the performance of today's workforce, and how to do that in a way that we find real satisfaction and enjoyment. And so, and then we added the technology side, the software side, to really help us scale our growth around the globe. And so that's why we added the tech side of it as well. So we deliver onboarding, technical training, leadership training, compliance training, all of that kind of stuff to workforces around the world, from companies the size of American Airlines to, small to mid-sized companies like car washes. So it's quite a journey.
Wow, yeah, that is quite a journey. So at what point did the technology start playing a role in the business, and how did that come about?
Yeah, well, we realized early on, we have instructional designers on our team, and graphic designers, and media production, and we were making all kinds of training content for large organizations, Walmart, Varsity Brands, groups like that, Dillard's, and we would write that training, and then we would upload it to an LMS, a learning management system. and honestly, we didn't hear anybody talk good about their LMS. And Walmart had asked us one day, they said, you know what, we have a lot of people in the field and training them is very, very expensive. There's got to be a better way. And so we help them create a software, customized software that met the associate where they were on the floor in the middle of their day so that training was no longer treated as a destination kind of model. It was treated as an as you go model, and it allowed the associates to stay in front of the customer. And that worked really, really well. We were quite surprised and amazed at how successful that was. And with more and more of our clients not really loving clunky LMS systems, we said, you know what, we think we can build one. Maybe it was a little bold of us, but you know what, we swung. And we created Learner Mobile at that time. We needed to do that anyway because we needed to find a way to scale our growth. Hard to scale through just a billable hours organization. We really needed some of that recurring revenue, that recurring revenue kind of model, and systems software was certainly a way to do that. And so we jumped both feet in with Learner Mobile, which is a next generation LMS that is built for field-based modern workforces. And there's a lot of things that make that field-based oriented. One, it's mobile. Two, it can be both online and offline. But three, it needs to deliver training in bite-sized micro-learning chunks of content and quickly applicable so that people can get what they need in 3 minutes or less and get back to work. And so that's what Learner Mobile does.
So when about did that change happen? And what was it like as leader of the organization making that jump? Obviously, you're not coming in with technical background. You're not coding or programming this stuff yourself, I assume. So what was that process like?
Just smart people, surrounding myself with really, really smart people that knew software, and just a humility, I guess, that just says, look, we don't expect to go in here and dominate, but we can go in here and we can learn. We can get better every single day. A lot of listening. We had to be, we couldn't be afraid to fail. But if we were going to fail, we were going to fail fast and we were going to learn. So I think our culture has a lot to do with that. Highly competitive, highly driven, certainly have a sense of mission and purpose behind it. And then making sure that we have the right people in the right seats on the bus. And when you can really capture kind of those cultural tenets and you bring the right mindset to the table and you've got smart people at the table, then you're able to do some pretty cool things. And since our launch, it certainly hasn't been easy, but it's certainly been successful. And we've certainly been able to achieve many of the goals that we set out to do, but we've got many more ahead of us.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you're aware of the rapidly shifting technology landscape.
Sure.
And for any tech company, any company with technology as a baseline or as part of their systems, it's becoming tougher and tougher to keep up with what's changing. So how have you been able to handle that and balance that? Obviously, development can go a lot faster these days, but you do have to balance how many new features do we put in versus what's really needed, and focusing also on making sure that from your standpoint, the content that you create is up to date with the technology that's in place, and making sure that the technology is keeping pace with the educational needs of the users.
Sure. Yeah. And that's probably one of the areas that we consider a significant strength of ours. And I think it has served us well in the marketplace. One of our differentiators is speed. Everything we do, every process we implement, every resource we choose to use, every tool that we access, the people that we hire, all of that has to set us up to be the fastest. We oftentimes look outside of our industry, the talent development industry, because the talent development industry isn't typically known for its speed. It's known for its academic rigor. And so there's these things called Bloom's taxonomy and Kirkpatrick's 5 levels and all of that. And we used to, as an industry, we used to just embrace the rigor nature of our industry. Gosh, that's a dangerous thing to do now. I mean, yes, we've got to have the rigor, but we can't allow the rigor to slow us down. We've got to make sure that we are built for speed. So for us, a lot of it has to do with our culture. Decisions are made at every level of the organization. Communications don't happen once a quarter. They happen every day, all day. Making sure that we're breaking down of the silos so that collaboration free flows through our organization is really, really important. So I think we achieve speed because of our culture. I think we achieve speed because we're not afraid of failure either. We will try things very, very fast. We will make good common sense decisions, and we won't overanalyze because we know in those decisions we're always going to learn something new. We're agile. We're quick to make sure that we learn fast and then apply fast. And then we're not afraid of tools. We are an avid user of AI integration throughout our tool. And it's not just generative AI, it's AI. It's also non-generative AI. And so it's helping us make decisions. It's influencing our processes. And then the last thing that I would say on achieving speed and keeping up with the speed of business is we are customer centric. We listen to our customers. Our customers have a very, very loud voice in our organization, and they just make us so much smarter. So when we can lean on our customers and learn from our customers and lock arms with our customers, that also helps us achieve speed.
Yeah, that makes sense. In our previous call, you mentioned how content alone isn't enough anymore.
Right.
It's all about the experience. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you guys are able to differentiate yourself in that space when content is everywhere?
Yeah, it bothered me, Chris, when I just kept hearing over and over and over and over again, content is king. It wasn't that long ago that they were saying if you're not in the content business, then you're going to be out of business. And I didn't believe it at the time. I think content is really, really important. I think good content I'm not saying that it's easy. It's not. Content is hard. And you've got to have some really smart people behind the content. But content is not your differentiator. Content is everywhere these days. There's so many smart people doing so many smart things. And if you don't bring a deployment capability that increases speed, drives down costs, delivers an on-demand capability, serves it up in the smartest way, the right content to the right person at the perfect time so that they can win their day. If you're not surrounding your content with that kind of deployment mechanism, people are going to go somewhere else for the exact same content. It might have a slightly different spin on it, but basically it's the same. And then so much content is free out there. And so really kind of hard to build a business, around that. And it's so competitive. So for us, we made sure that our organization was creating content quickly, content often. We build content that doesn't have a long shelf life because I don't think content can have a long shelf life today for it to remain relevant. And the other thing is I don't think you can put just an enormous amount of costs into content production. Wasn't that long ago where to put some cool video out there was going to require a $100,000 Avid system. And those days are long, long gone. And so just the tools and the resources make content so much easier, so much more affordable. So really the differentiator is not necessarily the content. It better be good, But once it's good, you better have a good deployment mechanism that ensures that that content is timely, getting to the right person at the perfect time so they can win their day. And so the deployment around that content is critical.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And from a marketing standpoint, we see it all the time that what's becoming successful content more and more is what people call lo-fi content, right?
Sure.
It's stuff filmed with your mobile phone. It's
Absolutely.
something that it's clear that we talked about this a little bit about the authenticity, that it's
The
clear that it's
authenticity.
coming from a person. It's not staged, it's not scripted. It feels like it's actually coming from a real human. Obviously with AI video and things like that out there, it's getting harder and harder to tell the difference.
Yeah,
So
what we've seen that, if you're filming on your mobile device, it's more trusted. People believe it more.
yeah.
It's more believable. So, totally agree.
So there's been a lot of talk about attention spans getting shorter, right?
Yeah.
Because of social media, things like
Yeah.
TikTok and the reels, all the shorts being key. Has that played a role in the content that you create for your clients?
No
Getting
question. No
Have you had to
question.
push things to be shorter and more bite size?
Yeah, I mean, in life, everything that we need, we shop for, we buy a service, it's everything has gotten more convenient. The way that we access our entertainment has gotten more convenient, whether that's music, whether that's movies, dramas, whatever. That's gotten more convenient. How we travel has gotten more convenient. We're Uber, for example, Lyft. That we're now ordering it straight from our phone. How we order our food has gotten more convenient with DoorDash and Starbucks and things. Everything around us has gotten more and more convenient. And so our workforce, if that's the way that they're living their lives, they're going through life with greater convenience, then how in the world can we expect how people live their lives be different in their work lives? They're going to expect the same amount of convenience in their work lives. They're going to demand the same amount of speed, of accessibility. And so certainly companies have got to embrace this idea of delivering convenience to their workforce. How are we onboarding them? Is it convenient? How are we training them? Is it convenient? How are we monitoring, managing, and opening up their career path? Is it convenient? And on and on and on. Succession planning. Is it convenient? And so for us in our organization, when we deploy Learner Mobile to our clients, we make sure that Learner Mobile doesn't just deliver this gigantic inventory of content where people have to, kind of shop through 100 different courses. What our system does is it serves up the 1, 2, or 3 courses that you need right now. And it only serves up that. Now, you can elect to pursue other training opportunities, but as far as what's necessary for you to do your job, you're not surfing through 100 different courses. You've got the 3 things that are critical at that time. The other thing that it better do from a convenience standpoint is you better have 24/7 access to those tools, to that content, to those resources. And they better be very, very easy to get to. Too many systems are clunky today, and so they're hard to navigate. The best systems for your workforce today are highly, highly intuitive, and that delivers convenience too. You shouldn't have to take training to use a system that you're going to rely on every day. Amazon did a really good job of this. They said, you know what? We can't train our shoppers how to shop Amazon. It's just got to make sense. Well, the same thing for LMSs in the workforce is we can't train the workforce on how to use our LMS. It better make complete sense right out of the gate. And so that intuitive nature is important. And then the other thing that I would just say is self-paced. We've got to offer up way more of those learner-centric, self-paced opportunities where people can learn as they go according to their unique learning style, according to their unique speed of learning, and not kind of put everybody in one giant classroom with a sage on the stage and expect all of them to learn the same way at the same pace all the time. And what we've seen by that, when we really embrace that learner-centric mentality, is we've increased the speed to readiness because people get to learn in their own unique style. They get to learn at their own unique pace, and everyone finishes faster that way. We're not waiting for the last person. We're all kind of able to go according to the most efficient way we get to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes so much sense. So where do you see the future of talent development heading, given all these changes in technology?
Yeah, I think that that's a great question, Chris. And I think that there's a lot of unknowns, out there for sure. But I think we can kind of bank on these things. For us, I mentioned it already, but the workforce is going to continue to demand speed. They're going to continue to demand that bite-size, short-form information that supports them in the flow of their work, where they can get in, get out, and get to work and do a great job. We know that the modern workforce, more than anything, what they want to do in their roles is they want to win. They expect to win. They're not waiting for the Rolex watch at age 65. They expect to win not 10 years from now, not 20 years from now. They expect to win today, and they expect to win throughout the day. And so our organizations, it's going to be put more and more onus on our organizations to make sure that we're helping today's workforce win the day. How do we do that? We do that through those bite-sized, quick in, quick out, speed to delivery, learner-centric approaches, ensuring that our content is never outdated, and that way we set them up for success, giving them the right information at the right time so that they can serve that customer more effectively than they ever have before.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And I would add, Chris, that if people aren't leaning into AI right now, I think that there's a lot of people that are afraid of AI right now. We're not one of them. I certainly think that you got to be careful with it. I certainly think that there are traps, from it. But we're gonna need to embrace AI. We're certainly doing it, and we're seeing a lot of benefits from it. Our clients love it. We are, in fact, reducing 90%. I'm embarrassed to even say that. I don't even know that that's believable, but we're saving instructional designers 90% of their time. And that 10% that they're focusing on is now on the experience. It's now on the polish. It's now on the elevation. It's not on the foundational, kind of production side of things. So I think people are going to need to continue to lean into AI. There are traps. There are flaws. We got to be careful of it. But the more you know about it, the better you're going to be able to navigate it. A few decades ago, we had the same concern with the internet. And look at today. I'm glad we weren't afraid of the internet back then, or if we were, I'm glad we quickly got over it. You could say the same thing about social media. There's flaws in social media. There are concerns in social media. But I don't think anyone feels like we should delete all social media. It's become such a platform, a medium that we rely on every day for so many things. And I think AI is going to be the exact same thing. We're gonna be at a point to where we look back on it, and in the not so distant future, and say, what were we doing without it? I know that there's a fear that AI is going to take over roles. We're not seeing it in our organization. What we're seeing is that we're getting faster because of AI. We haven't shrunk any roles. We've actually made more hires, significantly more hires. But everybody's a lot faster now, and AI gives us that advantage. So I think it's going to be something that we're going to have to pay attention to well into the future, and people that aren't paying attention to it today are going to be likely left behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. So you offer not just a cookie cutter solution, obviously. You have the LMS, but you need to be able to customize the content and everything for each individual client. Has AI played a big role in allowing you to do that for more
No question.
clients at once?
No question. No question, especially on the admin side. So we have an authoring tool built in our LMS. There's two things that I'm really proud of, Chris, with Learner Mobile. We probably don't get enough credit for it yet because we're not the giant, LMS organization. But I do think we're the most innovative. We were the first to bring a mobile solution, a true mobile solution to field-based workers in the LMS. And then the second thing that I'm proud of is we were able to look at our LMS and introduce an authoring tool in the LMS so you could write SCORM content in that authoring tool. And now everybody has a mobile application, a smartphone kind of application for their LMS, and they also have authoring tools for their LMS. So we were one of the first. People catch up really, really quickly. But from an authoring tool, AI is all through that. So anybody can jump into Learner Mobile, even if you don't use our LMS side. You can still use our authoring tool side and export it to any LMS you wish through SCORM compliant, things like that, Tin Can. But in our authoring tool, AI is threaded all through it. At the element level, we even have this thing called source to course to where you can drop in any PowerPoint, PDF, Word document. If you've got a sales presentation in Vegas, you can drop it into our source to course. And within 30 seconds, 45 seconds, it's turning that into a full-on training course with quizzes, feature elements like flip charts, hotspots, things like that. And AI does that whole thing. And then the instructional designer can look at what AI served up and said, you know what, it's 80% of the way there. A tweak here, a tweak there, and we're rocking and rolling. So certainly AI is supporting not just the learner side, but maybe even more so our admin side.
So have you guys built your own? I assume you don't have your own LLM, but you probably have some kind of a training that you've built out to make sure that everything you're working on it falls into your scope of work and your branding, everything that you like to, the way you like to have things that come out.
Yeah, we're certainly not creating our own LLM, but our software engineers are scanning all things, and whether that be LLMs, whether that be how we're handling reading images, reading videos, all of that kind of stuff. We have a dedicated leader. His name is Cyrus, and he's incredible. And he's gained so much knowledge on AI, and he's actually we really appreciate his influence in our organization on how he's helping us navigate AI. And so I think we're learning something new every single day, and we're going to continue to learn every single day because there's going to be more stuff to learn. AI is going to open up more doors, and we want to be ready to walk through them.
Yeah. So how do you guys see yourself being involved in training the robot workforce of the future?
Yeah, I hope we don't get there. That would be a sad day, I think. I do think that it's probably dangerous for me to say, but gosh, I just value the heart components of the human. I value the empathy. I value just the creativity that our workforce, our workers can bring to the table today, and I just don't think we can undervalue that. AI can't operate in context right now, but we can. Workers can. And so I don't see a replacement of our workforce. I think that our workforce is just going to be more enabled. Our workforce is going to I think they're going to have a lot more fun. I know that our marketing department, they have a blast because they're not doing that basement kind of work. They're They're working on the polish. They're working on the humor. They're working on the experience and just making sure that it delivers to perfection. But they don't have to start at the starting block to get there. They can start mid-race, and they got a lot of energy to finish the race because they're starting mid-race. So I don't think we're replacing. We're going to be able to do a lot more with fewer people, but I think we're going to have more people because we have more to do.
Yeah.
So I don't think ultimately that we're going to see this massive reduction in workforce.
Yeah.
Great. So, kind of wrapping things up a little bit here, for other leaders that are in technology space that are building businesses right now, or people that are considering getting into it right now with the way business and technology are coming together, what advice would you give for scaling a technology-driven company and standing out in this market?
Yeah, I just think it takes a lot of humility. The second you're arrogant is the second you're dead. I think that it requires just and I guess along those lines, it just requires a high curiosity, asking the what ifs, why nots, how comes. We do that every day. I mean, you got to crush dogma today. And then I think it requires, just having that high performance team. In our organization, I believe there's maybe two different types of cultures. Typically, there's this culture that is driven by accountability, and there's this culture that is driven by love. And so oftentimes you fit in one or the other. If you're an accountability culture, you're getting feedback all the time. It's never good enough. You may feel even a little bit beat up. It's pretty tough. If you're in this love culture, man, no one wants to hurt anybody's feelings. You're so sensitive that you can't have real conversations. Feedback is frowned upon because the relationship is so important. That's also a killer.
Yeah.
I think the organizations that are going to thrive in, the new modern world that we live in from a business standpoint are those organizations that have a culture that does both really, really well. They have strong relationships, trusted relationships, relationships that they depend on. There's camaraderie there. There's a like-mindedness. There's a commitment to winning together. And in the same sense, that doesn't stifle tough conversations. It doesn't stifle the direct feedback. And we've worked really, really hard on that to say, you know what, I really like you and you're the best. And we work really, really well together. And we've had some awesome conversations and done some cool work. But man, we really blew it on this one. And so that can't happen again. What are we going to do next time? By the way, that flows in all directions. Sure, I wear the CEO hat, but I got to tell you, my team is highly, highly comfortable giving me feedback, and I better be highly comfortable receiving that feedback. And I get worried and I get nervous if I'm not getting it. And so, just that humility, that camaraderie, the tight relationships, and the commitment to continuous improvement as an organization and as individuals, I think are going to set us up well to be able to navigate this landscape well into the future.
Great. So where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about Learner Mobile and what you're working on?
Yeah, well, thanks, Chris. So our organization is SVI. SVI is a talent development organization. You can find us on SVIworld.com. But also our flagship product is Learner Mobile. That's probably the one that gets most of the marketing effort. And but it's at learnermobile.com. And we'd love to hear from you. We love collaborating with clients, competitors, industry thought leaders. So whatever, the more the better.
Great. Mike, this has been a really insightful conversation. Really enjoyed it. Thanks for sharing your expertise on how mobile technology and AI-powered learning are shaping the future of workforce development. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. To our listeners, if you found that value in this episode, be sure to subscribe to Pitch Build Scale and leave us a review. Until next time, take care. Thanks for listening to this episode of Pitch Build Scale. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast provider so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you next time.